The spiritual truth that saved you in the beginning might now be the same one holding you back. Most people think finding the right spiritual path means staying with it forever. You discover meditation or prayer or a teacher who changes everything. Finally, you think, this is it. This is the way. But spiritual growth is alive. It changes you, and what worked perfectly at one stage stops fitting as you evolve. The meditation that once brought deep peace now feels mechanical. The beliefs that gave your life meaning start feeling too small. This isn't failure, it's evolution. Your spiritual capacity has expanded, and you've now outgrown what once served you perfectly. Before we continue, if you're ready to break free from the repeating patterns that hold you back, check out my free guide, 5 inner blocks that keep you from deep spiritual growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. Your spiritual capacity naturally expands over time. What once fit perfectly becomes too small, not because there's anything wrong with it, but because you've changed. Think about it. The meditation practice that transformed your life 5 years ago might now feel empty or just routine. The spiritual books that once electrified you with insight now seem repetitive. The community that once felt like home starts feeling limiting. This creates confusion. You wonder if you're losing your spirituality, if you become cynical, if something's wrong with you. But what's actually happening is natural growth. Buddha understood this perfectly. He gave us the raft metaphor for exactly this reason. You use a raft to cross a river. Once you reach the other side, you don't carry the raft on your back for the rest of your journey. That would be absurd. Spiritual tools are rafts. They are meant to carry you from where you are to where you're going. Once they've done their job, holding onto them becomes a burden. Or if you don't get rid of it, at some point the raft turns into a floating spiritual festival, and the river never gets crossed. But here's what most people miss about this process. They think outgrowing a spiritual method means it was false or useless. They feel guilty about moving on, like they're betraying something sacred. The truth is the opposite. When a spiritual truth stops working for you, it means the truth did its job perfectly. It changed you. It expanded your capacity. Now you're ready for something that can hold more of who you've become. This happens in stages that have been mapped out. Early spiritual truths tend to be dramatic and structured. They need constant reinforcement. You have to remind yourself to believe them, practice them, defend them. As you mature spiritually, truth becomes quieter. It needs less explanation. You move from defending beliefs to simply living understanding. What once felt like this is the ultimate truth becomes this is one aspect of the truth. The need to convince others fades because truth no longer needs external validation. You're not trying to prove anything anymore. You're just being. Advanced spiritual understanding is more spacious, less rigid, more inclusive. It's like moving from a small room to a large field. The room wasn't wrong, but the field can hold so much more. Each stage includes what came before but holds it more lightly. You don't reject your previous understanding. You see it as one piece of much larger picture. This is why spiritual paths are inherently unstable. They reorganize themselves as you reorganize. The search keeps changing because the searcher keeps changing. Some people resist this. They try to force yesterday's truth to work for today's consciousness. It's like trying to squeeze into clothes you wore as a teenager. Technically possible, but uncomfortable and restrictive. Others swing to the opposite extreme. They become spiritual collectors, jumping from method to method, never staying long enough for anything to take root. They mistake movement for growth. The middle way recognizes that spiritual development is organic. Sometimes you need to go deeper with what you have. Sometimes you need to let go and find something new. The key is staying present to what's actually happening, not what you think should be happening. Your spiritual intelligence evolves just like any other intelligence. A child's understanding of love is real but limited. An adult's understanding is more complex, nuanced, inclusive. Neither is wrong, but they're not the same. What worked for your spiritual childhood might not serve your spiritual adulthood. This isn't regression, it's maturation. The willingness to outgrow old truths is itself a spiritual practice. It requires humility, courage, and trust in the intelligence that's guiding your unfolding. That intelligence brought you this far. It knows where you're going next. Here's what's fascinating about this evolution. As your spiritual understanding matures, it doesn't become more complicated, it becomes simpler. Early spiritual truths are often elaborate. They come with extensive explanations, complex practices, detailed belief systems. You need maps, diagrams, guidelines, step-by-step instructions. Your mind requires structure to hold on to something it doesn't yet directly experience. But as you develop spiritually, truth becomes quieter. It needs less justification. You stop needing to explain it to yourself or defend it to others. What once required constant mental effort now feels effortless. Think about how this works in other areas. When you first learn to drive, you consciously think about every action. Check mirrors, signal, brake gradually, turn wheel precisely. Your mind is busy managing all the components. After years of driving, it becomes fluid. You're not thinking about the mechanics anymore. You're just driving. The complexity hasn't increased. It's integrated into simplicity. Spiritual truth follows the same pattern. What once felt like this changes everything becomes this is how things are. The drama fades. The urgency dissolves. You're not having spiritual experiences anymore. You're living from spiritual understanding. Advanced practitioners often sound disappointingly ordinary. They're not talking about cosmic consciousness or mystical revelations. They're talking about presence, simplicity, what's here right now. To someone still in the elaborate stage, this can seem like they lost something. But they haven't lost anything. They've integrated everything. All those complex teachings, all those profound experiences, all those transformative insights, they have been absorbed into a way of being that doesn't need to announce itself. This is why mature spiritual understanding is more spacious. It's not trying to contain truth in concepts anymore. It's not trying to organize mystery into systems. It recognizes that truth is larger than any framework that attempts to hold it. What once felt like this is it becomes this is part of it. Each realization is seen as one facet of something infinite. You stop trying to capture the whole picture because you realize the picture is always expanding. The need for certainty disappears. Not because you become uncertain, but because you become comfortable with not knowing. Mystery stops being a problem to solve and becomes something to rest in. This shift changes everything about how you relate to spiritual teachings. You stop looking for the perfect system and start recognizing what's useful right now. You stop defending your approach and start adapting it. You stop trying to convince others and start living your understanding. Truth that once needed external validation becomes self-evident. You don't need anyone else to confirm what you directly experience. You don't need texts or authorities to verify what you know from the inside. This doesn't make you arrogant or close-minded. Actually, it makes you more open. When you're not defending a position, you can listen more freely. When you're not trying to be right, you can learn from anyone. Before we wrap up, if you found this helpful and want to go deeper, remember that free download I mentioned, 5 inner blocks that keep you from deep spiritual growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. Your spiritual journey isn't about finding the perfect system or staying there forever. It's about trusting that outgrowing old truths means you're ready for deeper ones. The willingness to let go is itself a spiritual practice. When something stops working, that's not failure, that's completion. The intelligence that brought you this far hasn't abandoned you. It's preparing you for what comes next. Trust the unfolding. Your capacity is expanding exactly as it should.